Fortunately, most organizations do not have the difficult job of terminating an employee very often. But at Career Consultants, we assist an average of 15 to 20 corporate clients every month in planning one or more terminations. Our breadth and depth of experience is why HR professionals, as well as employment attorneys, turn to us to assist in crafting and managing the termination message skillfully. Traditionally, there are 6 steps conducted as collaborative efforts between human resources, the attorney, and career consultants when managing a termination skillfully. They are pre-termination planning, crafting and delivering the message, planning for and addressing typical reactions and emotional responses, transitioning the employee out of the office, communicating with employees impacted by the termination, measuring the effectiveness value of your career transition program. In each of the previous educational videos, we emphasize the importance of planning prior to meeting with the individual who is being transitioned out of the organization. In this video, we're going to review the importance of planning your message when meeting with coworkers and other members of the organization who need to understand what happened and how it might impact them. Depending on the reason for the termination, the communication planning required will vary. There are potentially 3 reasons for a termination: termination for poor performance, a job elimination, or a reorganization, merger, plant closing, or any event that results in a significant reduction in force. If a person is terminated for poor performance and is going to be replaced with a new hire or transfer, the communication to the team will be rather straightforward. But keep in mind, whether it is a single termination, a job elimination, or a significant reduction in force, change can be potentially traumatic for the employees who remain, just as it is for those who are terminated. Why? Some of the survivors may feel they are the lucky ones and may feel many of the same emotions of disbelief, anger, or depression that are being experienced by their departing colleagues. Some members of the team may experience or feel the guilt of surviving. It is in the best interest of the organization to help them acquire some emotional composure by helping them understand how carefully management considered all of their options before making its decision. In the midst of this psychological turmoil, survivors realize or worry that more work may be expected of them. Your most valuable employees will be watching for signs of job stability. Top performers are the ones who will be targeted by outside recruiters or may dust off their resumes on their own to see what else is out there. Employee energy must be focused on performing their responsibilities well, not dwelling on the past or the welfare of the terminated employee. The meeting generally takes about 20 to 30 minutes. This allows enough time to deliver the message, as well as respond to questions and/or concerns. For a major reorganization or reduction in force, the meeting may take up to an hour. Conduct the meeting as soon as it can be scheduled. If it cannot be scheduled on the same day of the termination or announcement, attempt to do it the next day. It is important to make certain rumors do not begin. By communicating the reason for the termination or reduction in force, you help allay fears and give people time to understand and trust the decision. It is better to conduct the session later in the day. Take time to schedule the meeting so that team members can clear their calendars. The late day timing also allows survivors to reflect on the meeting and the message after work, rather than having discussions during the workday. For those who are unable to attend the meeting, make certain they get the message as clearly as those who are in attendance. The appropriate person to conduct the meeting is the person who leads the team. The manager may want his or her boss or an HR representative to be present also. If the organization is going through a major downsizing, a top executive of the organization should deliver the message to the entire organization and be prepared to inform everyone what this may mean going forward. Regardless of the reason for the termination, the agenda for the meeting will be the same. Your agenda will include an opening statement. the reason for the termination or reduction in force, the corporate message about the future, an assessment of the coworker's feelings, responses to typical questions or concerns, a discussion about career coaching services, impact on the culture, closing the meeting. The manager should choose the words carefully, maintain good eye contact, and deliver the message in a clear, concise, business-like tone of voice. Maintaining a calm, confident demeanor is important. The following are some examples of how to open the conversation. As you are aware, our department has been reorganized. Due to business conditions, we have had to downsize our staff. Norma's job as purchasing agent has been eliminated. Charles will no longer be employed with our organization in a sales role. Whatever you do in planning for this discussion, make certain your message is consistent and honest. Do not have one message for the individual and another for the team. Remember, these people have worked together with the person who was terminated, and some will be personal friends, so anything you say will probably get back to the former employee. Here's an example. As you know, Norma made significant contribution to this organization, and although her position was eliminated, I want you all to realize that this decision was not made lightly. The decision was based on a management review of all of our staffing needs across the organization. Part of that collaborative review process included a possible transfer. After determining a transfer was not possible, it was decided that her position had to be eliminated. As you may know, I've been making an effort to help Charles improve his performance, but I simply didn't see the progress needed for him to be successful in his role. At this point, it was decided it would be best for the organization and best for Charles if he left to pursue another opportunity that would better fit his skills. We've begun recruiting to find his replacement. As you may know, business conditions are impacting our organization negatively, and we need to be more competitive in the marketplace. In order to achieve our short and long-term goals, it was determined that a reduction in employee headcount must take place. As a result, a significant number of people will be transitioned out of the organization starting today. I want you all to realize that this decision was not made lightly. The decision was based on a management review of all our staffing needs across the organization. Part of that collaborative review process included possible transfers, early retirements, and normal attrition. After considering all the options, the decision was made that in order to achieve our stated goals, a reduction in force is required. The procedures for communicating with coworkers who work in a remote office or from their home is similar to the communication recommended earlier. Make certain your message is consistent. If the individual works out of their home versus an office, the manager should make every effort to deliver the message personally rather than over the phone. Whether done face-to-face or over the phone, all coworkers need to hear the message immediately and have the opportunity to ask questions that they feel have immediate importance. Although no one can predict the future, the manager must be clear to the coworkers about what to expect in the future. This is important to squelch rumors. If the termination was for poor performance, a simple explanation and how and when the position will be filled from outside the organization or with an internal transfer is all that is necessary. If the termination was due to a job elimination or a reduction in force, give a clear explanation of short-term business goals that will position the company for the future and whether or not there will be further staff reductions. Don't be afraid to accept responsibility for the decision, but give employees confidence in the corporation's new plan. Don't waffle. Be optimistic and empathetic, but support the company's decision and the need to move on. Remember, you can't satisfy every employee. Just be as honest and sincere as possible. After you have opened the conversation and given the reasons for the termination or reduction in force, it is important to engage the coworkers in the conversation and assess their feelings. Although the following examples may not be appropriate to every situation, they are examples of how to engage the team in the conversation. I know you are concerned about your departing colleagues. Are there any questions about the reasons for the termination or job elimination or downsizing? Some of you may have concerns for the security of your own futures. What questions or concerns do you have for me? How would you describe your feelings about this transition? What kinds of problems do you anticipate that this job elimination or downsizing may create in the next month or so? The manager can expect some emotional reaction to the message they are delivering. Often those responses are not nearly as extreme as anticipated. The effort you put into planning for and practicing your response to typical emotional responses will determine your effectiveness in managing this communication session. The initial response is disbelief that this is happening to the organization or has happened to their coworkers. Is this going to happen to me? In some cases, members of the team were waiting for the reduction in force to occur or a fellow worker to be terminated. The fact that the change has actually happened can allow them to move forward knowing their job is not in jeopardy. In other cases, when an underperformer is terminated, relief that that person who is not carrying his or her load of work is gone can also have a positive effect. It is not uncommon that anger enters the picture. The employee is disappointed that the organization is going through change, and in some cases the employee feels that this is unfair to themselves and others. Emphasize the positives that are taking place and ask them to work together as they move forward. And as a team, encourage them when they hear anyone badmouth the organization to make certain it stops immediately. An emphasis on the positive and a focus on the future is the culture you want everyone to embrace. In step 2, you gave the reason for the termination and discussion about the future. You may need to reinforce that message during the question and answer period. It is not appropriate to get into a discussion about transference of work to others in the department at this time. Indicate that you know their plates are full and that you will be meeting with each of them about what will need to be done to ensure the business continues to run efficiently. At this point in the conversation, it is appropriate to speak generally about the severance benefits the organization is providing. The company is providing the best possible severance package to each person. We want you to know they are being taken care of. The individuals impacted by this decision are also being offered a personal career coach who will assist them with the range of emotions they may be feeling after being transitioned out of the job, assist them in identifying and landing a new position, and if appropriate, help them analyze the need for additional education, evaluate self-employment or starting a new business opportunity, plan for retirement. At this point, it is appropriate to discuss how the termination can impact the corporate culture. Although this termination is very difficult for all of us, the organization's commitment to providing the very best support to former employees is important. It is our culture to treat people fairly when they are here and to be fair when they transition out of the company. We care about all members of the team. If any of you hear from Bill and he is struggling emotionally or in his job search, please let us know so we can communicate that to his career coach. Here are some examples for closing the meeting. I realize that change is difficult and transitioning a person we have worked with is stressful. I also realize that communication is the key to understanding, and I will make certain it does not stop today. If any of you are experiencing any emotions about this situation, I am available to talk to confidentially at any time. My door is always open. Reiterate your confidence in the vision and strategy of the organization going forward. Here are some post-meeting tips. Be watchful for some of the reactions and/or emotions you observe during the meeting. Be visible and available on a daily basis. Identify and meet with coworkers who are respected members of the team and who may act as positive cheerleaders. Solicit their assistance in keeping the culture positive. As soon as possible after the meeting, attend to the details outlined in the pre-planning video to make certain members of the team know what to tell callers about the changes taking place. Change the employee voicemail message, communicate to other stakeholders in this decision such as customers or the community about the termination, and assign work that will need to be transitioned to others. If there is a search for a replacement, keep the team informed about the status of the search. When appropriate, devise new and more frequent methods of communication. In conclusion, we know you're not faced with the difficult task of planning and managing a termination very often, most specifically, skillfully responding to the emotions that often occur during these meetings. But when you are, call career consultants early in the planning process. Our breadth and depth of experience will be invaluable to you. Feel free to send this video to anyone you think will find it to be of value when they are faced with terminating an employee. You may want to keep a copy in your file for future reference, or you can always access it and other educational videos on the Career Consultants website, www.cciindy.com. If you prefer a complimentary paper copy of Planning and Managing the Termination Skillfully Handbook, contact Betsy Hickman, Practice Leader at Career Consultants OI Global Partners at 317-264-4114.